is Julian Poulsen and Shanti from the Cambodian Space Project on the streets of Phnom Penh, which we are going to apologise to listeners in advance because it does get noisy here. Shanti and Julian are the integral force behind the Cambodian Space Project, which really has done some terrific things in recent years. As a rock and roll band, they've played all over the world. At the Cambodian International Film Festival currently on, their music is featuring prominently, and in particular with one movie under their belt and a documentary as well. Julian, I'm going to start by asking you, can you give us a little bit of background, please, on the Cambodian Space Project and where it came from?
It formed about 6 years ago, and Chanti and I really are the founders. We got together because we sort of both shared a love for music, and the idea that we could work together across cultures was suddenly kind of appealing and attractive. We were invited by a friend's bar, a very small bar called the Alley Cat in Phnom Penh, to perform together. It was billed as Sray T sings the songs of Panron and Ros Hirasathea. I can still see the little flyer for it. And the fact is we only knew about 4 of those songs, so we got together and played them at least 4 times that night.
And of course you're referring to some famous Cambodian pop stars from the 1960s who I understand were pretty much annihilated by Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge.
That's right. The big 3 here, and of course there were many, was Ros Hirasathea, the golden voice of Phnom Penh, her risque younger sister, who we know very little about but love. Her name was Panron. And then of course the world-travelling Cambodian producer, singer-songwriter Sin Sisamuth, who's probably the only Cambodian who ever really travelled and performed internationally until Chanti came along and brought songs out of the Cambodian experience back onto the world stage. The other singers didn't travel outside Cambodia, and they were murdered by the Khmer Rouge.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, and in particular how the band came together in Hong Kong, the recent tour, and what's coming up? There's a lot on your plate.
Yeah, I mean, we got together, like I said, first here in Cambodia, and by the time the gig was almost over, we had at least 8 other musicians on board. The project, the Cambodian Space Project, has stayed a kind of carnivalesque carousel of musicians that get on and get off and get back on again, and are now scattered all around the planet. Very early on, we had this kind of desire to travel. I was leaving the band and left for about 6 months, so everybody decided to come part of the way on my journey, which was a stopover in Hong Kong. And we kind of thought we'll do that because it's also an opportunity to bring our Cambodian members outside the context of Cambodia. I mean, if you've grown up in a small Cambodian village here, there's 2 worlds really. There's the Cambodian world, and then Barangland, which is foreign country outside. You're not sure geographically what it is, where it is, what goes on there. So we took our group to Hong Kong, and we were all blown out by the experience. We ended up playing in a very tiny but seminal little Hong Kong watering hole where there really isn't much of a music scene. It's a lot of Filipino cover bands and Westerners doing stuff that they probably, can't really live or play out with at home, but it's still an exciting place. And so that really inspired us. And it's also kind of the place where the journey of the recent Cambodian Space Project documentary began. As soon as the band was on the road, that space trip and road trip and cosmic kind of blast off out of Phnom Penh became a story.
Shanti, you have a lovely smile. How was it? How did you feel being surrounded by all these men from foreign lands, travelling around the world and singing the music that you did understand, but was also fused with many foreign elements?
Yes, I can't believe, because I'm Cambodia and a small village, and I see Barang foreigner, and then love music Cambodia and then play music Cambodia. I'm shocked, I never see before. But I'm so happy when see Julian Poulsen and he start a band, small band. I'm not sure I can go around all well, but everything good, and I'm so excited. I'm so happy, and some Barang no understand my language, but everyone happy dancing in the club, the hands all together. I feel make me Barang good. say barang chkut, and then say chkut. Why yeah, crazy. Why and dancing and then listen the music and then still clap the hand, because I never see people do like that. I say, oh, I'm not sure. I'm not speak English. I'm not understand what people say. I work for Cambodian Space Project and with Julian, and he try again, go around everywhere.
Your themes touch very traditional in many ways, in the sense from a Western rock and roll perspective of sex, drugs, rock and roll, too much whiskey, too much partying, all that. These are all concepts which traditional good Khmer girls don't necessarily indulge in. How did you handle all that? How do you handle other Khmers and their opinions?
Yes, I talked about before. I want to write song because I cannot write much, but I feel, because I think I can what I feel to write song, but I'm not understand. Some people can help me. Then when Julian made the band Cambodian Space Project, and then I write song when I feel to go to different country. Not easy for me, and I write song have whiskey Cambodia, because first time in foreigner come to my village, I worried about food, worried about drink. I know have wine, I know have pizza, and then only Prahok food Cambodia and the whiskey Cambodia. Then I go to friend, and everyone so happy to eat the hamburger, pizza, sandwich like that. I know like baguette, I know like salami. Yeah, and I cry all the time. And then Cambodia not easy for visa too when I go outside Cambodia. Very hard. And then I write song, have visa no right from embassy and from the food and country. Yeah, because homesick for me.
I was going to add to that. How important an influence was your family, in particular your mother, who is a very strong character in the documentary that bears the name of the band, the Cambodian Space Project? How important was she in how you were raised and the influence she's had on you as an adult?
Yes, my mom, she dream I can sing in the band, and then she's so happy. A lot and my belief, a lot of people say not so good when you start to sing, go around everywhere. Something maybe someone, my band sell me to make bad girl, something like that. And my mom, she's so happy, she believe me because I tell her a lot. And then she's so exciting, she happy to foreigner may bring old music, come back. And then she tell me, okay, you sing this one song, this one Pandon song, this one song very good for you, and then very good. And then she very good to me, and then she helped me a lot. She make me more go up. She keep me so strong. So now I still have teach for her, fight teach for her.
Cambodia, as I mentioned before, it's always been associated with war, with conflict, Pol Pot, the Khmer Rouge. That's changing, and there's a lot of things happening here. The music scene, the art scene, the cinematography scene, even the amount of journalists who are deciding to rebase themselves now in Phnom Penh as opposed to Bangkok. The country is changing fast, and I am wondering, Julian, how much of that can be attributed in some ways, I guess, to the Cambodian Space Project, particularly from a music perspective, because you guys were pretty much the first to be out there. I mean, there was dengue fever, but outside that I can't think of too many others.
Look, I think our mission was very different than Dengue Fever, for example, who are a great band that appropriate Southeast Asian kitsch. And that was already popular with sort of small labels and audiences around the world, whether you're doing Bollywood or something wacky out of Cambodia. Here we saw what we were able to do with the as artists as something very different. I mean, in the developing world, they talk about capacity building all the time, boring terms like that, which is all about victimhood and giving communities help. What I see it as, especially coming from, just prior to Cambodia, working with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Timor, what's actually needed is opportunity, self-empowerment. And we immediately kind of found that this worked with what we were doing here. I saw many, many people and met many people who were interested in music because all Cambodia is like that. It's all singing and dancing, maybe no clapping, and the music's kind of background stuff like Chanty was saying earlier. But as soon as you can express yourself through having a voice, and that's not necessarily sort of even having a full education or anything like that. You could be a beach football player, or you could be a barefoot rice farmer who can also sing and have some empowerment. That's what happened with us and with Chanty, and not just Chanty, me as well, to come here and find that we could do something that celebrates and champions the talent rather than says, look, we're the victims of a tragic place with a genocide and a Khmer Rouge, and there's a tribunal going on, and this place is blighted by all sorts of terrible things. No, let's talk about the personality of the people here and the character that brings together when you kind of express that through new channels, and in this case, psychedelic rock and roll out of Cambodia. It's been really exciting, and that's why I guess people are doing documentaries on the band. It's not an easy journey, as Chanty points out in songs like Not Easy Rock and Roll, but it's an incredible one, and it's worthy of all of us sharing the story, because we are not just boring the audiences with, yeah, once upon a time there was a terrible thing that happened in Cambodia and now we're singing those old songs. No, we're taking something out of that darkness and kicking it again back into a new world, and that's also making people understand that out of all the brutality that did go on in Cambodia and continues in some aspects of society, there's something that's brilliant and shining and beautiful, and it can be celebrated.
I have to confess that I am a total music tragic. My musical ear is not very good, but I'm under the impression that Cambodian music does fuse well with Western rock and roll, where, having lived in other places like China, Thailand, Vietnam, their music doesn't. You often see Western-style rock bands up there trying to mix a little bit of both, and it never seems to work. But with the Cambodian music, it does seem to flow naturally in with Western-style pop rock, that kind of genre. Is that on the mark? Does that help your cause a lot more?
Yeah, I think there's a history and a heritage of it, what they call now the Golden Era, which was when the King of Cambodia actually doubled as a film and record producer and was a fan of British invasion bands like the Kinks, for example, who feature in Norodom Sihanouk's film soundtracks. So we're also told by the sister of the great Ros Saraswathia that when the contemporary music did come in, as it exploded around the world, dances like the twist and the mini skirts were fads that went off like Gangnam Style here, and were incredibly popular, but for a short time were banned as well. Banned by the monks for about 3 or 4 months, and then overwhelmingly popular.
And upsetting the social status of the kingdom's proper young ladies, which leads me to my next question. I wanted very much to ask Chanty about what's known here as the Women's Code of Conduct. And my understanding is that it's as dreadful as it sounds, but essentially the Code of Conduct is a social contract that tells women how to behave both publicly and privately, I guess. Much of what you've done is seen as a little bit shirking that conduct. Tell me in your own words, please, a little bit more about this, and how has it impacted on your life?
Yes, because the Cambodia, the old style and old wife, old girl, listen to husband. Sometimes husband have one more wife, 2 more wife. Sometimes husband drink, and then sometimes hit the wife. No, sometimes no look up to his wife, but still wife still do everything for husband. This is one called Chabab Srei. But I'm not the same my mom. I'm very different. I'm be more, I don't know why when I'm young, I'm a bit different when I see a lot husband hate, make the pain, head everywhere, but still stay all life. Yeah, the same my mom, then my dad. Yeah, my dad, before he work same army, But before Khmer, I'm not know him much for his story to Khmer, but I'm heard from my auntie tell about him very bad when I have Khmer, take him go to jail, hit him, yes, and then after I'm very hurt. I think maybe I know maybe 2 years, 3 years ago, I'm very hurt. I'm not happy, I miss him so much. And then when before he died, and 1 year ago, and then 2 years ago, and he died, he drink a lot, and my mom, she very worried about him. She not happy for him because he not have the job. He always the morning he drink, he drunk, but he still good wife, still have food. Husband drunk, but my mom still make food for him every day, every night, look up to him. And sometimes he took bad about her, but she still look up to him. But this is one called Chabab Srei in Cambodia, called Chabab Srei. But for me, not the same, I can do something, okay. You can go to work, you have job, you can look up to children. But Cambodia, very hard to say, Cambodia, but still for me, I still to little bit Chabab Srei, little bit too, but I'm not older Chabab Srei. Not good, but Chabab Srei, and then care everything, look up to everything. But I'm so happy now I have music, I can look up to my family, and then I can show what happened to what I have. I want to be strong, I don't want to be down, same my mom, But my mom, she always look up to husband. She very worried. She not strong. Always she down. But I'm not saying my mom, but my mom very special woman. She very good, very nice. She help me a lot. She keep me hard, keep me go up a lot. She very good.
Well, life on tour, Julian. Tell us some of the funnier moments that I'm sure have both exhilarated and dogged your time on the road.
Funny moments happen all the time. There's a kind of a language that we use to communicate with each other because we don't speak each other's languages very well. But in the space project, we're, I guess, like an Addams family or something like that, that just happens to be on the road by chance. And, we really we all really enjoy it, even though when it's quite exhausting. 6 o'clock yesterday morning, we're at Taiwan Airport. We'd covered our tour manager's back in bag tag stickers that kept slapping him on the back, congratulating him on his great work, and marched him through the airport covered in stickers. It's very, very silly, very stupid, but very funny. But there are so many funny things that have happened on the road. One thing that springs to mind, which is not so funny but weird, is playing in a prison in the Northern Territory of Australia. It took us months to get into the prison, and then they kept Chanty locked up in the guardhouse while the band set up for 300 prisoners in a kind of courtyard. And as dusk was settling, these real big guys were coming out, gathering around. It was looking kind of pretty wild. 280 of them were unfortunately, shamefully for Australia, Indigenous black fellas, and about 20 of them were white fellas, and they were expecting to be entertained. When Chanty came out and started singing Khmer, it was like, what the fuck? I mean, these guys, English is their second or third language anyway, they're islanders or whatever, and it wasn't until we did a Warumpi band classic called Black Fella, White Fella that the place kind of erupted in celebration.
How do you remember that concert, Shanti?
I'm so happy, but I'm a little bit scary. Before, I never, first time for me in Cambodia, play in the jail. But I'm so happy, I'm very proud because I can show my language. And I can dancing, and everyone go in the jail, listen to my music, and then start to sing Black Better, White Better, the Samara. What you color, and that's so good. I'm excited. Maybe one day I wish, maybe I play again. I'm so happy.
Cambodia has had some rather tumultuous political moments, particularly over the last couple of years following the last election. Has the temptation been there to politicise your music? You seem to have taken a step back from that. There's no shortage of people in this country who want to get political, particularly in regards to the to the current government. How do you view politics in Cambodia, and is there a place for it in your musical lineup?
I find political bands that are didactic to be very boring. But as artists, and what we do with the Cambodian Space Project is very political. We do sing songs that are political. You know, things like Have Visa, No Have Rice pop up on human rights compilations and soundtracks, and we've been invited to contribute that song because it's about immigration and visas and the perhaps racism or the discrimination against people like Chanty having a visa to go anywhere. So it's not overt and it's not didactic. It's not like, you know, writing a piece for the Wall Street Journal that has to be very specific. The action and the nature of it's political. Her song, like Broken Flower, is very political about women's issues, about what we were talking about before, her own journey and the hardships along the way. With her side project, astronomy class, she has a song called Cook, Angry Bird and Ginger, and we won't tell you exactly, you know, what that's all about. You've got to figure it out yourself. But it's very political. It's very funny. It's very accessible to people who don't have the opportunity to debate politics in a highbrow kind of platform or with the use of that type of media. But it's another kind of a media and a storytelling that's very direct. It comes from the people who are politicised by what they have or don't have. So, you know, compared to other bands that also sing off the same song sheet because the music of the 60s Cambodia is fun, they're not political, but the Cambodian Space Project is very much that. Of the song that brought Paul Kelly to Cambodia, the collaboration called The Boat is the most powerful piece of songwriting that Chanty was asked to write on the asylum seeker issue in Australia. And she wrote 3 verses in Khmer, first about the person getting on the boat, or the people from a war-torn country like Cambodia or Syria. Could be set 100 years ago, or it could be set 500 years into the future. The second verse is actually on the boat, admiring the shores of Australia, the distant shores, and how beautiful they seem. And then the third verse is the failure of the boat. It sinks. The person's singing from the drowned spirit. And in between, Paul Kelly, along the way of the songwriting process, asks what is the translation of the lyrics. We were all surprised to read them and can't really write anything himself, but inserts a 150-year-old poem of Walt Whitman called Out of the Cradle, Endlessly Rocking, into this incredible piece called The Boat, which later brought that Australian legend to Cambodia. And that is political in a stronger way than, say, being Midnight Oil and singing about which particular piece of legislation didn't get passed in the last parliamentary sitting.
Right, but I'm also referring to Cambodian politics. It's very easy to sing about Australian politics in many ways.
About Cook, Angry Bird and Ginger, first of all, you've got to think about what the angry bird is and why cook an angry bird and ginger. So, you know, to be too political here is too overt, too outspoken, and not clever with the way that you express yourself is almost futile because it'll get snuffed out pretty quickly. And the way that Chanty sings is social and political at the same time. It's about the people where she comes from, which is really 1.1 million people out in her province who still don't have access to running water and electricity. They're the kind of politics that she sings about, hanging on to the land, hanging on to culture, not having all of this kind of stolen from you, and most importantly, as a disenfranchised woman in Cambodia, having a voice.
And speaking of that voice, you have a fantastic voice.
I say thank you so much, but I'm not sure when I sing, I listen my voice, I'm not sure that I sing good or not. But everyone tell me, oh yeah, you sing good, but I say, I don't know, because I never have the school. I never go to school to learn sound, up, down, do, re, mi, fa, la, so. I don't know. This is what I call a friend. Do, re, mi, fa, la, so.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know melody. But everyone say, oh, you could sing. I say, yes. Before I start to sing, rock and roll in the band, I need to drink something a little bit more power. Yeah, too.
What did you...
พังហើយសប្បាយ ពេលចូលឆ្នាំថ្មី Whiskey Cambodia ផកកុំរញរាផឹងឲ្យសំបាយ ជាមួយបងអូនខ្ញុំ
I think maybe special when I have problem to avoid for me rum and hot water. And yes, some all the time. Sometimes, yeah, maybe some chili more better. I when before I sing, I need the rice, I need the food spicy chili, maybe gin and tonic. Yeah. Yes, and then before sing, I need drink little bit, make me more power and make me more powerful and more loud to sing. But I'm not drink, I little bit not enough power. Yeah.
Where would you like to be 5 years from now, Shanti, or 10 years from now? The Cambodian Space Project, the movie, I think is going to propel you further. I mean, what's next for you? You have mentioned that you'd like to do a book. Could you ever see yourself going into politics or being associated with an NGO?
Yes, now my movie come out, and then I'm so happy because I want to show what happened to me, and what happened, what I do. I want to show my family too because no understand what I say, what I do from Cambodian Sport Project and tour, and then now I need more write book. I write book, but I cannot. Yeah, very hard because I cannot read English and Khmer too. I need some people help me write book. And I want to write book about story for my life when I'm young, and then now I'm changing a lot. And 5 years, 6 years up in Cambodian Space Project. Now I understand more because when I go around all the world, I know I understand more what different country, what Cambodia, what happened, why people do this one, why people like that one. Now I understand more. Yeah, the Cambodian Space Project before when I children start, very hard to me. I'm not understand a lot of problem because not easy for me. But now I more understand. But everything now good.
And Julian, where do you see the project going? Now, you two, I must add that you two were married, but you've since split. That's where we left in the movie. How would you describe your relationship now? And you're tied by the umbilical cord to the rock band. Where do you see that going over the coming years?
Well, we're getting our divorce right after this interview, aren't we? Yeah. So, you know, this is part of the story and the experience of what we've been doing together. We're both writing books. We have a rock opera coming out, which is more about Chanti telling her story, which is basically the documentary that will launch at the Sydney Festival this January. It's called Hanuman Spaceman. And actually it threads the story of Cambodia and perhaps Cambodia's king and Chanti, the rice field diva, all together. My book, if I ever write one, will be called something like Sublime Frequencies. I mean, that's what attracted me to the band and the music, and births, deaths and marriages aboard the Cambodian Space Project. Because along the way there's been all that. We've had incredibly dramatic moments, incredibly exuberant and funny moments. We've had relationships that have formed and deformed along the way, and we've had a couple of divorces in the group, in the broader group already, and now it's Chanti's and my turn. But you know, the experience that we've shared together is so incredible that I think it's something that will last us for as long as we live. And Chanti and I are very, very close because you have to be. And working together as artists, that makes us understand each other deeply, even though we don't understand each other culturally all the time. So in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, I don't know, we're already up to our 5th album. What more can a rock and roll band do? I don't know. And seeing Chanty going into politics or an NGO? I don't know. I don't think so. She's often asked to do things for NGOs because that's what NGOs do. But personally, I see Chanty as somebody like a singer, like, for example, I think she was from Ethiopia, the great Cesaria Evora, who sang until till the end of her days, until she was in her late 60s or early 70s. And, you know, as a Cambodian diva, Chanty has so much music in her and so much to tell that will just continue on when she feels like it.
On that note, I'll finish up by asking Chanty, do you see yourself singing until you're 70, 80 or 90?
I wish I want the strong the same Tina Turner because I still start to sing, still sing too. And she not stop. I wish the same her and all my life. But I'm not sure and one day maybe not will happen. Because Julia and me before husband and wife, but now still divorce after the talk now. And but so happy all together, work all together. I want to be good friend all together. Sure, husband and wife very different, but a friend different. Friend be everything to be good, exactly. But husband and wife everything to share, not easy, and then very hard for him too because very hard for me too. I too much family. I look after family. My dad, my mom, now she gone, and then everything I'm down. But now I'm okay now.
And on that note, I'd like to thank Julian Poulsen and Chanty from the Cambodian Space Project. Thank you very much to both of you.